Excellent. Deliver those packages, folks. All right. How you guys doing? We're getting down to the last couple of talks today. Want to call up my friend Arkinox to come here get set up. You guys should know who this guy is because he's made a lot of things. So what we're going to talk about is fanfares.io and about new tools for creators. So, wrap it up with a bow on it, what I started today. Creators are going to learn about new ways to make money on Nostr by selling their content. So Arkinox is up. Everybody give him a round of applause and your full attention.
Hey everybody, how's it going? How's everybody enjoying the Nostr bear market? Because that's what we're in right now. We got like 10,000 daily active users and no more, not a single one more. And we're just building, right? That's what we're doing here. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Arkinox. My claim to fame is that I read the Nostr protocol only 3 months after it was published, and I just started using it, and I've been using it ever since. So I was like within the first 50 people or so that were using Nostr. What's your NPub 1 ARK. It's actually a vanity NPub, and no one ever compliments me on it, and it just really makes me kind of sad because I put a lot of proof of work into mining that NPub. But so I recently quit my fiat job, and now I'm working full-time on Fanfares. I'm the Fanfares CTO. It's a small little group of developers who are very geographically spread out. I'm the only guy in North America. We got one guy in India, one guy in London, and one guy in Paraguay. So that is decentralization, am I right? And so we're building Fanfares, and Fanfares was not my idea, but I have adopted it as my, what do you want to call it? It's my mission. I have to see this through because I feel like, if anything, it's going to get us out of this Nostr bear market. All right, guys? Just trust me on this one. All right? But actually, you don't have to trust. You can verify. Just listen to what I got to say here. Because Fanfares it's not just an app. The app is like a proof of concept. Fanfares is a layer on top of Nostr. And I think it gives us some tools that we need. It gives creators some tools that they are missing right now within the Nostr and Bitcoin space to really make it and to really get their career moving and to get what they need to succeed. I'm going to get some notes out here. So Heather did a great job talking about some of the problems with current legacy social media platforms. And I just want to talk about this from sort of a meta level. You have like the tools, right? You have Wavelake. That's a tool that you can use as a creator to publish. But then you have the meta tools, which are like a little bit more abstract. Like you have a value layer, that's Bitcoin. You have payment, a value transfer layer, that's Lightning. You have your identity layer, which is Nostr. And we've probably covered it like 10 times by now, but the most important thing about Nostr is that it's the identity that no one gives you, and you own it. You don't rent it from a platform, and that's super, super critical to what comes next. But the tools that I want to talk about today are property, which we all agree is probably important for freedom, right? Well, that does not get suspended for digital creators. Digital creators deserve to have property rights just as much as anybody who creates anything physical. And so we need to talk about property for digital content creators. And that involves encryption. Next, we need to talk about transactions or transacting. And specifically, we need to talk about, like, right now you can zap people on Nostr, but that doesn't like yield anything except for some good feelings, which is great. We need to talk about how you could zap somebody and then you could actually get something back. I think that's really important to be able to transact and do it in as close to protocol way as possible. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is sort of twofold. It's discovery, which is kind of classically a problem in decentralized networks, and protection of intellectual property, which does not need to be enforced by laws. I'll get to that. So let's move forward on this. We're going to talk about I just want to focus on music because I feel like that's sort of like a vibe that's going on at this conference. But this actually applies to all digital content. Okay, so when I say music, you can also think like anything that you can publish digitally. So we used to pay for music, right? We used to buy physical albums, and we all miss those days. It's actually kind of coming back in a way. Like people still buy vinyl records. I don't know if anybody buys CDs. But people are buying iPods and refurbishing them and using them and stuff like that. I think it's kind of cool. But, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ainsley, or just pretend like I'm smart and don't correct me. To get your record out there back in the day, you would need to sign on with a record label. They would take a large cut, but they would pay you, and then you would get your record in stores, and they would market it for you, and then people would buy it, and you would make money. And that was pretty good because you could make money. And then we moved to the streaming model. And this is where, so originally the creators, the artists, they could make some money, right? They weren't up here because they weren't selling it themselves. They were beholden to a record label, so they're down here in terms of like how much money they're making. It's not peer-to-peer. They're going through a record label. Then we went to the streaming model, okay? The streaming model, the artist revenue is kind of like way down there because, as Ainsley mentioned, she made like almost nothing. My brother is a musician. He lives in Minneapolis. He's made zero on all of his streaming platforms, and he's been on them for 5 years. I mean, how awful is that? How discouraging is that when you make actual art and you get nothing for it for being on a streaming platform? Well, that's because they're giving all the money to Taylor Swift. Just Taylor Swift. No, I'm just kidding. It's a bunch of other artists. But like, it's like the popular artists get the biggest share of the cake, and so does the Spotify CEO, and nobody else has anything left for them down at the bottom when they're brand new. It's not fair, obviously. It's an algorithm, and so that's just kind of how it is. So streaming just took the artist's revenue, and it just plummeted because you're not getting anything directly. People are paying, and then from the consumer's perspective, they don't own anything anymore. They used to buy the media. It was more expensive. Now they have access to all of the world's music, but they don't own it, and so they have to rent it forever, and they have to pay every single month, and that's just their lives now. And in a way, that's sort of like the you'll own nothing and be happy way of looking at the world, and that's obviously kind of disgusting, but we sort of just accept it because it's become what people do. Well, we started to find some freedom, but there's costs that come with that. Value for value comes along. And now artists are releasing their music for free with this, and they're just trying to be more transparent and honest and connecting with their audience. And they're like, hey, if you enjoy this, you give me some money, and everything's going to be good. But I think that in terms of pure dollars, if we're just looking at spreadsheets, the revenue is probably even worse now. You have to bootstrap your web of trust. It takes a lot of proof of work to get that going. And I'm not saying value for value is worse, but it's just like, can you see the trend where it's like, we used to release records and people bought them. Now we're streaming and you're almost making nothing. Now we're hoping for donations and we're like down here. And there's just like this trend of like, it's just going down, and then the amount of ownership that people have is decreasing as well. So what I want to talk about is, where do we go from here? Like, how do we fix the internet, guys? We all know that there's a problem. I see YouTube videos come up in my feed all the time where people are like, oh man, everything sucks. It's the in-shitification of like the internet, and they all know that there's a problem. Like, normal people know there's a problem, but they don't know how to fix it. And that's like really, like, I just want to reach to the screen and be like, Nostr, and just hold it out, and just solve all their problems and give them hope. But even for the people in this room, you might not realize that we actually have all the tools to fix all these problems. We're going to fix them, okay? And the tools, as I mentioned, we started with the value layer, the transaction layer, the identity layer, but we got to add some other things on top to use this properly. We got to add the property layer. We have to add the transaction layer, and we have to, I'm sorry, I said transaction twice. I meant the payment layer before. Transaction layer, where you buy something and you get something instead of just buying or just zapping. And then finally, the discovery and protection layer. So what is Fanfares? Fanfares is a proof of concept where you can publish content. The content is encrypted, and it's published as a Nostr event. And then when someone zaps that, their payment gets verified that they paid the minimum amount that the creator set, and then they get to the decryption key for that event. And you can encrypt and sell any kind of content with that. We started with podcasts, audiobooks, and tweets or notes. And so right now on Fanfares, you can go in and, well, it's actually whitelists only right now, so if you want access, just talk to me and I'll whitelist you. We did that because our CDN needed some protection on it. We can't let the whole internet upload things for free. So it's whitelisted, but once we move out of whitelist, that's when we'll probably start charging like a small fee for uploading. But basically, yeah, you can publish, like, I love doing this because it's just fun. You publish a note on Nostr, and the actual, like, the content, if you're familiar with how Nostr protocol works, the content is actually the preview of the note that people see. The actual content, like, that you want them to pay for, we call it the secret, that's encrypted in a tag on the Nostr event. And so then when you zap it, we have a little server we're running, which is going to be a DVM eventually. That server will check the zap, make sure you paid the right amount, it's a minimum or more, and then it will send you the decryption key, which you then store locally, and you permanently own that content. That's not just notes, that's audio. We're going to be supporting video, we're going to be supporting all types of media, and that's the way it should be. And what that fixes is, now that you can actually, like, restrict your content from being just kind of taken. It's great because now you can monetize in a more direct way. You can kind of, like, sell your records, so to speak, in a musical sense, and people will buy them and pay you for them before they get them. And that's kind of how things have always worked. And I think that there's a lot of people who are ideologically opposed to the idea that this information is not free. But I would just ask you, how do you feel about your private information? Because that's not free. Not all information can literally be free. And I think that there's a balance to be struck between property rights for digital creators and the information wants to be free crowd, because we can't have both. So I'm going to vote for property rights for creators, let them monetize, let them charge a fee for their work, and let them reap the benefits of their labor. Because ultimately, if we work for free, we're slaves. And so that's just kind of our ideological take on all that. Let me catch my breath. Everybody interlude. Take a drink. Take a sip. Whew. All right. I got more. So just strap in. And so we have this new model, and Fanfares allows you to charge money for something. And you might think to yourself, well, okay, I buy your thing, I get the decryption key, I unlock the file. Now I can just go seed it on a torrent, and now everybody can download it for free, right? So what's stopping someone from doing that? The answer to all of our problems with the copyability of content is not DRM, because we don't do that. The problem is solved by incentives. And it's actually almost the exact same economic incentives that Bitcoin has. You want to know a fun fact about Bitcoin? I need a drink. Hang on. Next time. Fun fact about Bitcoin. Your private key doesn't actually protect your Bitcoin. All it does is it identifies you anonymously in a network that protects your Bitcoin. Your Bitcoin is actually protected by the consensus of the network, because I could take the Bitcoin software and I could fork it, and I could say, okay, this version of Bitcoin, it actually takes all of your money and it just makes it mine, right? I could do that. It wouldn't work, because I would be the only one running it in the entire world, and it wouldn't matter. So the consensus of the network is actually the thing that protects your Bitcoin. Your private key only identifies you. Did I just blow anybody's mind? No? Okay, good. Good. Well, then we're all on the same page. All right. So then, incentives are extremely powerful, because I think most of us are probably big believers in fix the money, fix the world. And if incentives like that can actually fix the money and fix the world, we can use those same incentives to fix property rights for digital creators. So what Fanfares does is, when you buy content, you are allowed to share a referral link for that content. The creator can set a percentage that they want to allocate to anyone who refers that content. And so say I buy Manny's content. He publishes a tweet with a funny meme in it, and I think it was great. And I'm like, check it out. This is really funny. You should buy it. If anybody buys it, I get paid because they use my referral link. And I get the percent that Manny set that I would get. Now, if someone buys it through my referral link, is it an MLM? Is there another level of referrals? No, we don't do MLMs. It's just one level. So if someone else buys it, they get their own referral link. They get 100% of the referral fee for themselves. What that does is it may not be obvious at first, but what it does is it allows you to start to make word of mouth the marketing for what you do. And if you're an artist, now all of your fans, anyone who's bought your music, is now marketing for you. Because if they liked your music, they're going to leverage their reputation and their social network to share that music and literally make money while also promoting you, which also protects your content, because people aren't going to steal it if they could make money by telling other people to buy it. And so that incentive structure is what protects your intellectual property, and it also helps us to enforce that property right without using lawyers, without using courts, without using copyright, because that stuff is not for us, it's for rich people. Let's be honest. Like I said, my brother has a band. He has copyrights on his music, like he's registered actual copyrights. But if anybody ever stole his song, what's he gonna do? He can't afford a lawyer to go after somebody, especially if it's like, you know, say Microsoft uses song in a commercial, like he can't go after them. Even though he owns the copyright, he can't afford to enforce it in court. So that's just like the whole system is just like, it's an illusion, and it doesn't work for normal people. What does work is incentives and cryptography, okay? We know that works. We've seen it proven. It works with Bitcoin, and I think it can work with Nostr too. And so that's what Fanfares is doing, is we're enabling that property right for creators where they can sell content. And here's the other cool thing. Like right now, I mean, in the future we might have discovery, but right now in Fanfares, there's no discovery. The reason why that's cool is because all of it happens on existing legacy platforms. So say you have a YouTube channel and you have a podcast, you want to split it in half, put the good part at the end on Fanfares, first part you put on YouTube. Then you take your link from Fanfares, you put it in the description and you say, hey, pay 2,100 sats to unlock the second half of this podcast over on Fanfares, and you link right out. And so you're able to start monetizing on Fanfares without even, you don't have to build a following on Nostr. If you have a following on YouTube or something like that, you just start sending them in, you start making sats. And that's the way that we're going to destroy and dismantle all of those legacy platforms by basically taking everybody's existing audiences and connections and turning that into Nostr traffic and Bitcoin payments. So that is what we're trying to do. Thank you. If this sounds interesting to you, I would invite you to scan this QR code. Full transparency, this is my referral link for the book, the audiobook that was written by my boss. And this is an audiobook. I personally, and I'm serious, like, I know I'm biased, but this is the most profound book written since the Bitcoin Standard that is about Bitcoin. I've read a number of books. Oh, yep, there you go, thank you. It's a really, really good book, and it's all about Fanfares and what we're doing and how micropayments can basically fix like most of the problems with the internet. And it's an audiobook, so you pay for it via sats on Fanfares. It was the first thing we published, and I really hope that you guys enjoy it, because I think it's just like the way. We have the tools, you guys. We have so many tools, but I think I mentioned at the beginning that we're in the Nostr bear market. we need to do that, yeah. But we need to take the tools that we have, and we need to know what direction to go with them. We need to know where to apply them, because if we're just kind of like, we have Bitcoin and we have Nostr, where we're just like firing in every direction, we could totally miss the target. Okay. This is the target. I've been in Nostr since the beginning. You know, I haven't been in Bitcoin that long, but like I believe in both of them very much. This is the target that we need to shoot for. Digital property rights, enforcing it through incentives, through a neutral protocol where people can monetize instantly. Here's the other cool side effect of all this. You want to make Bitcoin into money instantly? You don't need to convert entire supply chains. I really appreciate what the delivery service is doing. That's really, really cool. But also, you don't need to convert entire supply chains to Bitcoin, because, like, you know, a restaurant, they can accept Bitcoin for their burgers, but then they have to pay somebody else in fiat for their meat. You know, and it just like the whole chain is fiat all the way down. Well, digital creators, they just charge Bitcoin for something they just created, and boom, you have a Bitcoin economy that's completely free of any sort of supply chain problems. So it just jumpstarts Bitcoin as money if you have digital creators able to charge for their income and protect their work. So I just think that, you know, nobody else is really working on this right now. We're really excited. to get it out there. Fanfares.io is the site. And if you, like I said, if you want access to the early access, just come talk to me. I will get you in, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you.